FBI employees are only terminated if they fail to uphold their oaths of office and duty.
You're not answering my question.
I don't have to answer your question yes or no because you're setting up a trap so you can have a media narrative.
I'm not setting up a trap.
And I'm not giving it to you.
Unless it's true that you fired people.
People have been terminated at the FBI who failed to uphold the standards that the FBI requires them to uphold.
Did you tell anyone at the FBI?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to America First, the channel that brings you the truth that the mainstream media won't tell you. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now and smash the like button because we need your support to keep bringing you this critical content. And hey, if you really want to support what we're doing here at America First, head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/AmericaFirst where you can support us for as low as $5 a month. Today, we're diving deep into what might be one of the most explosive congressional hearings I've seen in years. And folks, I've been covering politics for a long time. What we witnessed here between FBI Director Kash Patel and Senator Adam Schiff is nothing short of a masterclass in how the deep state operates versus how real patriots fight back. This hearing exposes everything that's been wrong with our government for years, and I'm going to break it all down for you.
But the Comey FBI failed to review the evidence at the time. After nearly a decade in the shadows, this information is now come to light thanks to Dr. Patel, or Director Patel. Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, during your confirmation hearing, you made several important commitments. For instance, you told Senator Coons there will be no politicization at the FBI. There'll be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as FBI Director. So let me ask you very specifically, did you ever take any action to terminate or discipline an FBI agent or employee in whole or in part as retribution for being part of an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
No.
You also committed, you assured Senator Blumenthal, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. So you're testifying today that you played no role in the firing of even a single FBI agent for political retribution.
None for political retribution.
And if any FBI agent said you did, they would be lying. Is that your testimony?
I'm only speaking to my actions. Everybody is allowed to make their allegations.
Oh, no, these are allegations against you.
And
so, Mr. Patel, if FBI, senior FBI agents or employees said that you were firing them for political retribution reasons because of the cases they were assigned, you're saying they would be lying. Is that
anyone that was terminated at the FBI was done so for failing to meet the standards, uphold their constitutional oath, and effectuate the mission.
Well, by meet the standards, are you talking about meet the standards of protecting the president under any circumstance?
No.
You also guaranteed Senator Blumenthal that every FBI employee will be held to the same, absolute same standard. No one will be terminated for case assignments. Are you testifying today that you never terminated anyone at the FBI in whole or in part because of a prior case assignment?
No one at the FBI is terminated for case assignments alone.
Well, I'm asking about you, Mr. Patel. Did you in whole or in part terminate anyone at the FBI because they worked on the Trump investigation or because they worked on January 6th?
No one at the FBI has been terminated for case assignments alone.
Okay, you're saying alone. Does that mean they were terminated in part because they were assigned to a January 6th case or assigned to the Mar-a-Lago case? You're being very precise here, Mr. Patel. You're saying alone. That means they were fired in part because they were assigned those cases. Is that your testimony?
Absolutely not. But if you want to keep putting words
in
my mouth,
well, then let me ask you, let's strip away the word alone. Did you terminate or participate in any discipline of any FBI employee in whole or in part because of their work on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th? Yes or no?
Any terminations at the FBI by employees.
No, I'm
since
asking you a very specific
And I'm
question.
going to answer the question, but you don't like the answer because it's the
No,
truth
I
and it guts
want
your
an answer to my
narrative.
question. I don't want an answer to someone else's question. So let me just be precise, and I ask for a yes or no answer. Did you ever terminate or discipline an FBI employee in whole or in part because they had been assigned or worked on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
FBI
yes or no?
employees are only terminated
Yes
if
or
they
no,
fail
Mr.
to
Patel?
uphold their oaths of
Yes or
office
no?
and duty.
You're not
at the
answering my
FBI
question.
I
You're
don't
not
have to
answering my
answer your question yes or no because you're setting up a trap so you can have a media
I'm
narrative.
not setting up a trap.
And I'm not giving it to you.
Unless it's true that you fired people.
People
in
have
whole
been
or in part
terminated at
because
the
they-
FBI who fail to uphold
they were
the
assigned
standards
to.
that the FBI requires them
Did you
to
tell?
uphold.
Did you tell anyone at the FBI that all FBI employees who they identified who had worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
Say that I would remove people for case assignments?
That you would, that people that were identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
People are not removed
But
for
just
case
answer my
assignments.
question. Just answer my question. Did you tell that to
People
someone?
are not removed for case
No,
assignments.
you're not
and
answering
I
my
would-
question.
And I would
Mr.
never
Patel,
tell anyone.
did you tell someone at the FBI that FBI employees identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Yes or no, did you tell someone that?
I would never tell anyone at the FBI that they're being removed for basically their case assignments.
Okay, so anyone who had said that would be lying. Is that your testimony?
Anyone can say whatever they want.
No, I know, but you're saying they were a liar.
I'm telling you what I said.
Because this is in the complaint against you, Mr. Patel. So you're saying Mr. Driscoll and others are liars?
I'm not going to address the complaint in the ongoing
Okay, well then let me ask
litigation.
you, have you ever told anyone at the FBI that the FBI tried to put the president in jail and he hasn't forgotten it, and that your job depended on the removal of agents who worked on cases against the president?
No.
Did you ever tell anyone that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever tell anyone that you knew these summary firings you were undertaking were illegal, likely illegal, and that you would be sued and later deposed? Did you ever tell anyone that?
No firings at the FBI or terminations were done for anything other than justified
Did you ever
cause.
tell anyone that, Mr.
No,
Patel? Why don't you
no
answer my question?
terminations at the FBI were ever done in my tenure for anything other than failing
Did you ever
to
tell
uphold
anyone
their
that,
oath of
Mr. Patel? You willing to
office
answer
or
the
their-
question?
The FBI.
I guess
I
you're not
have
willing to
answered
answer the
it.
question. So let me move on. Let me
Repeatedly.
move on to the Epstein files. You said you're the most transparent FBI director in history, so I'm going to put you to the test. In 2024, you were asked by Glenn Beck about Epstein's Black Book. And you said, he asked, who has Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book? And you said, Black Book, FBI. And he said, but who? That is, I mean theirs. And you said, oh, that's under the direct control of the director of the FBI. That's what you said. Was that true, Mr. Patel?
I'll rely on you quoting it accurately. I did that a couple
Was
of
it
years
true
ago.
what you represented to Mr. Beck and the president's supporters out there, or were you lying?
No,
Was it true that the Black Book, Epstein's Black Book, was in the possession of the FBI director?
The Black Book was in the possession of the FBI.
Okay, so now that you're the FBI director, you have possession of the Black Book, right?
That index has been released.
So you have Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book?
What is known as Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book has been released
Okay,
by
and
us.
And you released it. And let me follow up on Senator Kennedy's question, because he asked you, and I'll be very precise here. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? And you said, himself. There's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said, the answer is no one. And you said, for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never
Patel?
said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question,
And
Senator
I
Kennedy's
said
question.
the information that 3 administrations have had access to
I'm
have
asking
made
you-
determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute and investigate any others. I'm
Well,
specifically
I'm asking
stating
you whether
we
it's
were
your
working on.
testimony today.
Well, you just read
that
it, and I said it 10 minutes ago, so let the record reflect my
I
testimony.
just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Guifer who have testified otherwise, who have said otherwise, and you're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying, and
Well,
you
let
can
me-
say
let me
whatever
ask
you want.
Let me ask you this. When Todd Blanche went to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, but did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet, who you value as your co-workers, and you know would be with him if he was a creep or because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find that. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that. And the next question Todd Blanche, the president's former criminal defense lawyer, asked is not who in the cabinet, who are you referring to? His question is, so when's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage? So let me ask you, who are those cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell was referring to that, that were part of this cast of characters associated with Mr. Epstein? Who are they?
The Deputy Attorney General took the aggressive step that no one else did and interviewed Ms. Maxwell for
I'm
2
asking you,
days,
who are
and
the
we
ca-
released
who are
the
the cabinet
entirety
members?
of that
Who are the cabinet
transcript.
members?
I do not have that transcript in front of me. You're picking it piecemeal. The American public can read the entirety of that.
Let me ask you one last question, because you clearly won't tell us the cabinet members associated with Mr. Epstein. Let me ask you one last question. And that is, right after she gives this testimony in front of an FBI agent, among others, she's transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're not
inmates.
in the weeds?
What I am
The
doing is
most-
protecting
the
this country,
most-
providing
the most
historic
significant
reform,
witness,
and
the most
combating the
significant witness,
weaponization of
the
intelligence
Epstein
by the
files
likes of you.
cover-up,
And we have
gets
countlessly proven you to
from
be a
your
liar in
administration,
Russiagate, in
and you
January
call that
6th.
being
You are
in
the
the
biggest
weeds?
fraud to ever sit in the
This
United States
stinks to
Senate.
high
You are a
heaven.
disgrace to this
This stinks to high
institution
heaven.
and an utter
And
coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised
not
that you continue to
surprised
lie
that
from
the-
your
that
perch and put on a show
two of you
so you can go
have
raise
you-
money
well,
for your
and for good
charade.
reason.
You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, you can take an internet troll.
Take
and
it
make-
to
you
the
can
bank
take an
that the
internet-
FBI is
you
protecting
can
this
make an
country
internet troll,
and the state and
the FBI
citizens of the
director
California.
will
We
always
are
be
bringing
nothing more
historic
than an
reform.
internet
Point of
troll.
order. But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
You said
take
I'm the
control
most
of this
transparent
situation.
FBI director in history.
Take control of this
33,000 pages of information to you. I challenge you to say anything credibly to the truth. Go ahead and run to the cameras where you want to go now.
Both of you be quiet.
First, let me set the stage here. We've got Kash Patel, a true America First patriot who has been fighting the deep state from day one, sitting across from Adam Schiff, the same Adam Schiff who spent years peddling the Russia hoax, the same Adam Schiff who was instrumental in the bogus impeachment attempts against President Trump. This is the swamp personified going up against a real reformer, and what we see in this hearing is exactly why the establishment is terrified of people like Kash Patel. From the very beginning of this exchange, you can see Schiff's strategy. He's trying to set traps, He's using lawyer tricks. He's attempting to get Patel to say something that can be taken out of context and weaponized against him. But here's the beautiful thing about Kash Patel. He knows their game better than they do because he's been fighting it from the inside for years. When Schiff keeps pressing him about whether he fired FBI agents for political retribution, Patel gives the perfect response every single time. He makes it crystal clear that any terminations at the FBI were done because people failed to uphold their constitutional oath and meet the standards required of federal law enforcement. Now, let's talk about what's really happening here. The deep state apparatus that has been weaponized against President Trump and against conservatives for years is panicking. They're panicking because they know that under Kash Patel's leadership, the FBI is finally being reformed. The same corrupt agents who spent years manufacturing cases against President Trump, the same people who ignored actual crimes while pursuing political vendettas, are finally being held accountable. And Adam Schiff, being the deep state operative that he is desperately trying to protect these corrupt actors. Notice how Schiff keeps trying to get Patel to admit that people were fired for political reasons. He's not asking because he cares about fairness or justice. He's asking because he wants to create a narrative that can be used to attack the Trump administration and Patel specifically. But Patel sees right through this. Every time Schiff tries to set a trap, Patel responds with the truth that people are terminated when they fail to do their jobs properly and uphold their oaths to the Constitution. The most telling moment in this entire exchange comes when Schiff starts asking about specific individuals, trying to get Patel to confirm details from what appears to be some kind of complaint. Patel refuses to play that game, and rightfully so. He's not going to engage in character assassination or provide ammunition for Schiff's political theater. Instead, he sticks to the principles. People are held accountable when they fail to meet standards, period. Then we get to the Jeffrey Epstein discussion, and this is where things get really interesting. Schiff is trying to create this narrative that somehow the FBI under Patel isn't being transparent about the Epstein case. But here's what's actually happening. Patel is being more transparent than any FBI director in history. He's released 33,000 pages of information. He's made public the Ghislaine Maxwell interview transcripts. He's provided more access to information than we've ever seen before. But notice Schiff's angle here. He's not actually interested in justice for Epstein's victims. If he was, he'd be praising Patel for the unprecedented transparency. Instead, he's trying to create political gotcha moments. He's fishing for names, he's trying to implicate people, he's playing political games with what should be a serious law enforcement matter. This is exactly the kind of politicization of justice that the American people are sick of. When Patel explains that 3 different administrations have had access to this information and none of them found credible leads to prosecute others, that's not a failure of investigation. That's the reality of the evidence. But Schiff doesn't want to hear about evidence or facts. He wants to create conspiracy theories and political narratives because that's what serves his agenda. The discussion about cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly referenced is particularly revealing. Schiff is clearly fishing for names, trying to get Patel to speculate or provide information that could be used for political attacks. But Patel, being the professional that he is, directs Schiff to the full transcript that's been made public. If Schiff really cared about the truth, he'd read the entire document instead of cherry-picking quotes for political theater. Now, let's talk about that prison transfer question. Schiff is trying to imply that there's some conspiracy behind Maxwell's transfer to a different facility. But Patel gives the straightforward answer. That's handled by the Bureau of Prisons, not the FBI. It's not Patel's job to micromanage prison transfers, and the implication that he's somehow involved in covering something up is just more of Schiff's conspiracy mongering. This brings us to the absolute best part of this entire hearing, when Kash Patel finally has enough of Schiff's games and tells him exactly what every American patriot has been thinking for years. He calls out Schiff for being a fraud, for his role in the Russia hoax, for his lies about January 6th, and for being a disgrace to the Senate. This is the moment that encapsulates everything wrong with our political system and everything right about having real fighters like Kash Patel in positions of authority. When Patel calls Schiff the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate and a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward, he's speaking truth to power in a way that we rarely see in Washington. He's calling out the corruption, the lies, the political weaponization that has characterized Schiff's entire career. And notice how Schiff has no real response to this, because deep down he knows it's true. Patel's mention of Schiff being a political buffoon who puts on shows to go raise money for your charade hits right at the heart of what's wrong with career politicians like Schiff. They don't care about serving the American people, they care about maintaining their power and their fundraising operations. They create political theater to generate outrage and donations from their base, while real patriots like Patel are trying to actually fix the problems in our government. The contrast here couldn't be more clear. On one side, you have Adam Schiff, a career politician who has made his name by lying to the American people, pushing hoaxes, and weaponizing government institutions for political gain. On the other side, you have Kash Patel, someone who has dedicated his career to fighting corruption and reforming institutions that have been compromised by the deep state. When Patel talks about providing historic reform and combating the weaponization of intelligence, that's exactly what the American people voted for. They're tired of seeing the FBI used as a political weapon against conservatives. They're tired of seeing investigations launched not based on evidence, but based on political calculations. They want accountability, they want transparency, and they want institutions that serve the American people rather than the political establishment. The mention of the Durham Annex at the end is particularly significant. The Durham report exposed the corruption and political bias that characterized the Russia investigation from the beginning. It showed how the deep state apparatus was willing to destroy lives and undermine democracy itself in order to pursue their political agenda. The fact that there's still classified information being revealed shows just how deep this corruption went. What we're seeing in this hearing is the old guard of corruption fighting desperately to maintain their power against real reformers who are finally cleaning house. Schiff represents everything that's been wrong with Washington for decades: the lies, the political weaponization, the prioritization of partisan politics over the interests of the American people. Patel represents the future: accountability, transparency, and institutions that actually serve their intended purpose. This is why the establishment media hates Kash Patel so much. This is why career politicians like Adam Schiff are so threatened by him. He's not part of their club, he's not interested in playing their games, and he's not afraid to call them out when they try to obstruct justice and accountability. He's doing exactly what President Trump promised when he said he would drain the swamp. The fact that Patel has released more information than any FBI director in history, 33,000 pages of documents, shows his commitment to transparency. But notice how Schiff isn't praising this transparency. Instead, he's complaining that he's not getting even more information to use for his political purposes. This tells you everything you need to know about his motivations. Patriots, what we witnessed in this hearing is exactly why we need to support leaders like Kash Patel, and exactly why we need to continue fighting against the deep state corruption that people like Adam Schiff represent. This isn't about partisan politics. This is about the fundamental question of whether we're going to have a government that serves the American people or one that serves the political establishment. The courage that Kash Patel showed in standing up to Schiff's bullying and calling out his corruption is exactly what we need more of in Washington. We need people who aren't afraid to speak truth to power, who aren't intimidated by career politicians, and who are committed to actually reforming the institutions that have been weaponized against the American people. This hearing also shows us why the 2024 election was so important. Can you imagine if we had another 4 years of the same people who weaponized the FBI against conservatives? Can you imagine if we had continued down the path of using law enforcement agencies as political weapons? The fact that we now have real reformers like Kash Patel in positions of authority is a direct result of the American people standing up and demanding change. The deep state is fighting back hard because they know their time is up. They know that the American people have seen through their lies and their corruption. They know that leaders like Patel are going to hold them accountable for their actions. This is why we're seeing such desperate tactics from people like Schiff. They're fighting for their political lives because they know their entire corrupt system is being dismantled. As we wrap up this analysis, I want to remind everyone that this fight is far from over. The deep state corruption that has plagued our government for years didn't develop overnight, and it's not going to be completely eliminated overnight. But what we're seeing with leaders like Kash Patel gives us hope that real change is possible when we have people of integrity in positions of authority. The American people deserve law enforcement agencies that investigate crimes based on evidence, not political calculations. They deserve intelligence agencies that protect America's interests, not partisan political interests. They deserve transparency from their government, not cover-ups and stonewalling. And they deserve leaders who will stand up to corruption wherever they find it, regardless of which political party is involved. That's exactly what we're getting with the Trump administration and leaders like Kash Patel. This hearing shows us that the swamp is being drained, that corrupt actors are being held accountable, and that the American people finally have advocates fighting for them in Washington. So patriots, keep fighting, keep demanding accountability, and keep supporting leaders who have the courage to stand up to the establishment. If you found this analysis helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to America First, and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/America First. We'll keep bringing you the truth that the mainstream media won't tell you, and we'll keep fighting for the America First agenda that puts the interests of the American people above the interests of the political establishment. Until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and keep fighting for our great nation.